Have you ever walked away from a first date feeling, well, not just confused, but genuinely deflated? Like you just spent an hour enduring, I don't know, a really sterile job interview instead of actually connecting with another human being. It's something I hear constantly from singles today, and it really speaks to this deep, widespread anxiety. The unspoken rules of first dates, it feels like they've totally shifted under our feet, leaving a lot of us just adrift, wondering what genuinely counts as good etiquette anymore, or maybe even just, genuine connection. Today, we're not just scratching the surface, we're diving deep, right into the heart of the modern first date. It's this moment packed with so much hope, right? So much vulnerability, and yet so many unexpected pitfalls. By the end of this deep dive, you'll understand why navigating first dates in, 2025 is more critical than ever, not just for, finding a partner, but really for building genuine, respectful human connections, especially in a world that often feels alarmingly disconnected. Our mission today is to unearth what truly makes a first date successful in this evolving landscape, drawing on insights into the raw, often awkward dynamics of modern romance. You're listening to Stereo Butterflies. We talk about love, lust, and loneliness like no one's listening. Just a quick note before we jump in. This deep dive was crafted with the help of AI technology to ensure high-quality insights and, hopefully, a truly valuable experience for you. Okay, let's unpack this. Dating in 2025 isn't just different from our grandparents' time. It feels dramatically distinct even from, say, 10 years ago. It's not just about the apps we use, is it? What exactly feels so alien about it now? And why are we even bothering with a word like etiquette when the whole point of dating is supposed to be spontaneous, authentic, maybe even a little messy? Isn't that the real magic?
That's a great question. And it's truly fascinating, maybe even a little unsettling, how dramatically the whole landscape of connection has transformed. I mean, think about it. The huge rise of dating apps, for instance, it's fundamentally compressed what used to be a more natural, maybe organic vetting process into what we now just casually call vibe checks. You scroll, you swipe, you match, maybe exchange a few hurried messages, and then suddenly you're face-to-face with someone you know, essentially next to nothing about, trying to get a complete read on their soul in, like, under an hour. And this means that first impressions, those really fleeting initial moments, now carry this immense, almost suffocating weight. There's just less runway for error, less room for a second chance if things start off awkward.
Less grace period.
Exactly. And it's not just the apps, though. There's also this heightened collective awareness around mental health, personal boundaries, even concepts like trauma, which is, without a doubt, a really positive evolution. People are getting much more comfortable articulating what they need, what they won't tolerate.
Which is good.
It is good. But it also undeniably raises the stakes for those initial interactions. I've seen countless conversations online, on forums, where singles openly admit that one awkward evening, maybe one poorly handled conversation, one subtle misstep, it's often enough for them to just disengage, to move on without a second thought.
Wow, really? Just like that?
Just like that. This wasn't necessarily the case even 5 or 10 years ago. People might have given more grace, more benefit of the doubt. But today, with the next potential match, literally just a swipe away, that grace period has, well, it's all but evaporated for many.
Okay, so the stakes are higher.
Much higher. So while the how we meet has totally revolutionized, the importance of that first impression hasn't just stayed the same. It's been magnified, amplified almost to a breaking point. You mentioned spontaneity, and yes, that's absolutely vital for genuine connection. Of course it is. But without a basic understanding of modern social graces, what we're calling etiquette today, that spontaneity can quickly turn into a misstep. We're living in an era of shorter attention spans, right? An abundance of choice, and this general impatience for anything that doesn't immediately click. So a single lapse in judgment, maybe being casually late, which signals disrespect, or an awkward conversational pause that could be easily bridged, that can now be a silent, unrecoverable deal breaker.
A silent deal breaker. I like that term. Scary but accurate.
It is. And this isn't about being overly rigid or fake. It's about signaling your respect, your intentionality, your emotional intelligence, right from the very first hello. It's about recognizing that in a world of seemingly endless options, showing you genuinely value someone else's time and presence is an increasingly rare and, frankly, valuable currency.
So, okay, if these first impressions are now our true golden ticket in this hyper-fast landscape, Where do we even begin to craft them? It's clearly far more nuanced than just, I don't know, a firm handshake or a polite smile, right? It feels like the air around us is thick with unspoken signals.
Absolutely. And you're right, it's more nuanced. First impressions are less about a perfect performance and more about demonstrating a fundamental respect for the other person before you even say a word. And this begins even before you arrive. Take punctuality, for example.
Ah, punctuality.
Yeah, it sounds almost quaint, doesn't it? Maybe old-fashioned?
A little bit, yeah.
But in a world where everyone's schedule feels perpetually overloaded, where that line between work and personal life is so blurred, showing up on time is actually a profoundly powerful statement. It signals that you value their time as much as your own, that you consider their commitment to meet you important. Being even a few minutes late, whether it's traffic or a last-minute email, whatever. In today's context, it can set an immediate, subtly negative tone. It's often perceived, rightly or wrongly, as a fundamental disrespect for personal boundaries and the preciousness of their free time, which is a shift from older norms where a few minutes grace was more common.
It feels less forgiving now.
It does. And conversely, arriving just a few minutes early, it isn't about being overly eager or desperate. It's a quiet, intentional act. Gives you a moment to, compose yourself, maybe grab a glass of water, check out the environment, and it ensures you're ready, settled, and present when your date walks in. This small gesture immediately telegraphs thoughtfulness and a genuine anticipation for the meeting. It shows you're not just squeezing them in, you're making time for them.
That makes sense, being ready.
Exactly. And it's interesting how many modern daters now go for initial meetings that are intentionally short, like a quick coffee or a brisk walk.
Yeah, the pre-date date.
Sort of. They're almost built-in exit strategies if the chemistry isn't there. And in those compressed interactions, punctuality becomes even more crucial for that initial, often decisive vibe check. It's like the first ripple of intentionality in the water.
Okay, punctuality as an act of respect for their time. Got it. What about how we present ourselves visually? Does the old dress to impress thing still hold up? Or is there a new, 2025 twist to sending the right visual signals? Because I think a lot of us are still trying to figure out if it's like super casual or accidentally too formal.
That's a great point. Your outfit is arguably your very first conversation, right? Even before you speak. And in 2025, dress to impress has kind of morphed into dress to express your authentic, respectful self. The goal is really balance. It's not about designer labels or being flashy. It's about conveying that you've put in effort without looking like you're putting on a performance. Think. Clean lines, clothes that fit well, that allow you to feel comfortable and move naturally. And subtle grooming touches. Neat hair, trim nails, maybe polished shoes. They speak volumes about your attention to detail and self-care. They signal that you value the occasion and, by extension, your date.
Subtle signals.
Very subtle, but powerful. The fine line, though, lies in authenticity. Overdressing, like showing up in a full suit for a casual coffee. Well, it could inadvertently intimidate or make your date feel underdressed and uncomfortable. It creates an immediate power imbalance.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. Awkward.
It's super awkward. And conversely, being too casual, like appearing in maybe stained sweatpants or something, it signals a lack of care. It suggests you don't really value the effort your date might have made. The analogy that often helps is, think of it as preparing for a relaxed yet important business meeting. Polished, approachable, and authentically you.
Okay. Polished but approachable. I like that.
Exactly. It's about presenting yourself in your best light, acknowledging the context of the date, and making sure your clothing doesn't distract from the genuine connection you're hoping to build. It's about confidence rooted in self-respect, not outward showmanship.
So intentionality and self-respect, not extravagance. That makes sense. And the venue choice, does that also play a big role in setting the tone? Because it really feels like the big, elaborate, drawn-out dinner date is kind of fading away, especially with our fast-paced lives.
You're absolutely spot on. The era of the obligatory, expensive, sometimes hours-long dinner as the default first date is, for many people, definitely a relic of the past. Singles today are overwhelmingly opting for more casual, low-pressure venues. We're talking about, the cozy, maybe slightly bustling cafe, a serene, leisurely stroll through a park, or even exploring a local art exhibit or a farmer's market.
Right, something with less commitment up front.
Exactly. And the profound implication here, these choices aren't just easier on the wallet, which immediately reduces a significant source of potential pressure for both people, but more crucially, they drastically reduce that feeling of being trapped if the chemistry just isn't clicking.
Oh God, the trapped feeling. We've all been there.
Haven't we? Imagine being stuck across a white tablecloth from someone you don't connect with for 2 whole hours and 3 courses. It can feel like an eternity, like a social hostage situation. With a coffee or a walk, you can graciously and politely wrap things up after maybe 30–45 minutes, if the vibe isn't right. It minimizes awkwardness for everyone involved. It shows thoughtful planning of the experience itself, which almost always matters far more than the price tag. The best practice now seems to be choosing a venue that actively fosters easy, natural conversation, minimizes distractions. You don't want to be yelling over loud music or competing with a huge crowd, and ensures a safe public setting. It's like an unspoken message. I've considered your comfort and the quality of our potential interaction.
So it enhances the chance for connection and respects boundaries.
Precisely. It makes the date feel like an enjoyable exploration, not some high-stakes performance piece.
Okay, so you've shown up on time, dressed the part with that intentionality you mentioned, picked a great low-pressure spot. Now you're actually sitting there face-to-face. What do you do in the actual conversation? How do you move beyond polite small talk and really ignite a spark, truly connect with someone in this modern dating scene?
This is where the dance truly begins, doesn't it? Where the surface-level presentation gives way to genuine engagement. And perhaps the most impactful do in an age absolutely saturated with digital distractions is simply to be present.
Be present. Sounds simple, but
It sounds simple, but in a world where our phones are practically glued to our hands, being truly, singularly present is a rare and precious gift. It's an act of radical attention. This means consciously putting your phone away, like out of sight, not on the table face down, ideally, no subtle checking of texts under the table, no quick furtive scrolls through Instagram during a lull.
guilty as charged sometimes, unfortunately. It's hard.
It is hard, but when you are truly present, you're actively listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak. And that active listening is palpable. It shows you're invested in the moment. It shows you genuinely value what your date is saying. Small, almost unconscious nonverbal cues really amplify this presence. A gentle nod, comfortable eye contact, leaning in slightly.
The lean in, classic.
It works. These actions make the other person feel uniquely valued, deeply seen, truly heard, which is a powerful foundation for any connection. It's a silent signal that says, you have my full attention, and right now, nothing else matters. This creates this sort of psychological space where vulnerability can maybe safely emerge and where real connection starts to unfurl. So many people complain about daters being glued to their phones, and it's because it's such a dismissive act. It's not just checking it. It's the presence of the phone, signaling divided attention that prevents that deep mirroring and emotional attunement crucial for connection. It makes your date feel secondary.
I can absolutely relate to the frustration of a date who's more into their screen than the person right there. It is so dismissive. So, okay, once you're fully present, phone away, how do you actually make the conversation flow? Because sometimes, even with the best intentions, it can feel like a rigid, awkward interview, like we're just checking boxes.
You've hit on a core truth there. The goal isn't an interrogation. It's an invitation. The best first dates don't feel like that checklist interview. They feel like effortless, enjoyable exchanges where genuine curiosity is the compass. A simple yet surprisingly powerful technique. Use your date's name naturally during the conversation.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
It just adds this subtle warmth and attentiveness that makes the interaction feel more personal, less generic. And instead of firing off a series of rapid-fire, closed-ended questions that just lead to one-word answers, focus on open-ended prompts, questions that invite storytelling and deeper insight.
Like what and how questions.
Exactly. Think about questions starting with what's. Tell me about what's that? Or how do you feel about what? For instance, instead of do you like to travel, which is a yes/no, try what's the most interesting place you've traveled to and what made it so memorable for you? Or maybe what hobby makes you completely lose track of time and why?
Oh, okay. So opening it up.
Opening it up. These aren't just questions. They're invitations to share a piece of their world, to reveal passions, quirks, dreams. You want to consciously steer clear of really transactional topics in these early stages. Avoid grilling them about their career path, their exact salary, or diving immediately into the complex history of past relationships.
Right. Save the heavy stuff.
Definitely. Stories about, say, childhood adventures or funny travel mishaps or dreams on their bucket list, those are much better sparks for positive energy and shared laughter. The aim is to create a space for discovery, for shared stories to emerge, not to gather data points for some imaginary compatibility spreadsheet.
It's about building a narrative together.
Exactly, not just reviewing a resume.
That makes perfect sense. Weaving a story, not collecting facts. Okay. And speaking of sensitive topics, how do you navigate those trickier areas? Especially when it comes to respecting personal boundaries, it feels like that's a real minefield for many, and getting it wrong can just instantly derail everything.
It absolutely can be, and respecting boundaries is arguably one of the most frequently discussed, yet often poorly handled parts of modern dating. The truth is, body language often speaks way louder than any words spoken.
Mhm.
If you notice subtle cues like maybe crossed arms, a shift in posture away from you, a lack of consistent eye contact, or really short, hesitant replies when a certain subject comes up,
Reading the room.
exactly, reading the room. These are clear, nonverbal signals of discomfort. For instance, if you bring up politics or religion or start digging into past relationships and you sense that subtle hesitation or withdrawal, the graceful, emotionally intelligent response is to pivot immediately. Just shift the conversation to lighter, more neutral ground without making a big deal out of it.
Don't call attention to the pivot.
Generally, no. Just smoothly transition. A first date is primarily an opportunity to explore basic compatibility, shared values, mutual interests. See if there's a foundation of respect. It's definitely not the arena for heavy debates, deep psychological dives, or airing personal grievances. By showing that you're aware of their comfort levels, that you're adaptable in your conversation, you communicate a high degree of emotional intelligence and empathy.
Which are attractive quality.
Incredibly attractive traits today because they build that sense of psychological safety. It signals you're a considerate person who values their comfort, allowing both of you to relax and potentially be more authentic. Honestly, how you respond to their subtle cues of discomfort is a real test of your character, and it's a test that many daters watch very, very closely.
That's incredibly insightful, focusing on reading the room and showing that emotional intelligence. So, if those are the critical do's that leave a good lasting impression, what are the absolute landmines? What actions instantly kill the vibe and make someone start, discreetly checking for the nearest exit door?
Right, the vibe killers. This raises the question, what behaviors signal a real lack of awareness or emotional maturity? Many common mistakes stem from not understanding the appropriate pacing and level of vulnerability for a first meeting. And right at the very top of that list is what's now widely known as the trauma dump.
Ah, the trauma dump. Heard of it.
Yeah, this is when someone, often completely unintentionally, starts sharing deeply painful past experiences or launches into these long, detailed rants about ex-partners or recounts highly personal struggles right off the bat. It's honestly one of the biggest complaints you hear from singles online and in various dating communities.
It makes sense. It's a lot.
It's a lot. While honesty is, of course, a valuable quality in the long run, the first date is simply not the time or place to unload that kind of heavy emotional baggage. It can be incredibly overwhelming for the other person. It instantly transforms that light exploratory nature of a date into something that feels less like a potential connection and more like, well, an impromptu therapy session.
Right. Suddenly you're the therapist.
Exactly. It shifts the dynamic from mutual discovery to one person carrying an emotional burden. Experts consistently recommend keeping those early conversations balanced. Offer enough about yourself to give a genuine glimpse into who you are. Maybe be vulnerable in small, relatable ways, but not so much that it feels heavy, makes your date uncomfortable, or positions them as your instant confidant or therapist. It really should be a two-way street of gradual, reciprocal revelation, not a one-sided confessional. The temptation to overshare, to try and force connection is real, but understanding that pacing is absolutely key.
The therapy session analogy is painfully accurate, I think. Okay, what about alcohol? It feels like it used to be almost a given for many first dates, maybe to ease nerves, but now there's definitely more of a debate, more of a conscious decision around it, it seems.
Indeed. While a casual drink was once a staple, almost a ritual, for many first dates, a significant and growing number of singles are now actively questioning whether alcohol truly belongs on a first encounter at all. Online dating communities frequently highlight concerns about, well, impaired judgment, the risk of oversharing private details, maybe misreading boundaries, or simply not being truly authentic when under the influence. There's a definite conscious movement towards more mindful interactions.
Sober, curious dating is a thing.
It absolutely is. Because of these concerns, a growing number of daters are consciously opting for sober-friendly options. Coffee, tea, even creative mocktails. The rationale is quite simple and pretty compelling. Being clear-headed helps you stay authentically yourself. It helps you remain acutely aware of your own boundaries and your dates, and it helps you maintain control of the conversation and the overall situation. These qualities, authenticity, respect, self-possession, are increasingly valued in the 2025 dating scene. They signify maturity, intentionality, genuine presence.
Making sure the connection is real, not booze-fueled.
It's exactly. It's about ensuring that any potential spark isn't clouded or obscured by altered perceptions. Plus, there's sometimes that subtle social pressure around drinking can set a precedent for a relationship built on clear communication rather than just assumed social norms.
So clarity and intentionality are key there too. And on that note, what about the kind of questions or conversation style that makes a date feel less like a natural connection and more like, I don't know, a transaction, like they're just ticking boxes or filling out a very bland application form for the role of partner?
Yes. This is another major turnoff in modern dating, the transactional approach. It's when you treat a first date not as this unfolding human story, but as a rigid checklist, an interrogation designed purely for efficiency. This often manifests in a rapid-fire series of really specific, almost resume-style questions about someone's career trajectory, their exact financial status, their 5-year plan, or even things like, how many children they want and by what age, delivered in excruciating detail, often without any real warmth or genuine curiosity behind it.
The checklist date sounds awful.
It feels awful. Many dating experts and publications point out that this approach just strips away any natural flow, any spontaneity, any real interest. It reduces the vibrant, complex person sitting across from you to just a set of data points, a collection of requirements to be met. Rather than an individual with unique stories, passions, quirks, experiences, the fundamental difference between a date that feels like a job interview and one that feels like the exciting start of a story lies in showing genuine curiosity about the person themselves, their passions, their oddities, their dreams, their inner world, rather than just ticking off boxes on some preconceived compatibility sheet.
It signals you're looking for a human.
Exactly. A human connection, a shared journey, not just a perfect fit for a pre-designed life plan. It's about being present to them, not just to your own agenda.
Okay, now, for the question that seems to spark endless debate across every dating forum, every group chat, probably every family dinner table, who pays on a first date, it feels like there's just no universally right answer anymore, and the conversation is, like, super complex.
You're absolutely right. Few topics ignite as much heated discussion and, frankly, deep-seated emotional response as who picks up the bill. And like you said, it isn't just about the money. It's this potent intersection of traditional expectations, evolving gender roles, and modern values of equality. What's truly fascinating here is how communication, just clear communication, becomes the true currency. It's far more valuable than any dollar amount.
So it's about talking about it.
Essentially, yes. Opinions are indeed wildly divided, often along generational lines, cultural lines too. You have traditionalists who firmly believe that the person who initiated the date, which historically and often still is the man, should pay as a gesture of courtesy or effort or even a demonstration of financial capability. They see it as classic chivalry.
The old school way.
The old school way. But then, a significant and rapidly growing number of daters counter that this expectation is fundamentally outdated in 2025. They stress the paramount importance of equality, mutual respect, financial independence in all aspects of a budding relationship. The shift is definitely towards a more egalitarian approach, where shared responsibility is seen as a sign of partnership, not necessarily a lack of interest.
But the interpretations can vary wildly.
Hugely. The underlying tension often stems from these differing interpretations. Is the offer to pay a gesture of generosity, or is it a subtle attempt to assert control or obligation? And is the offer to split a sign of independence and equality, or is it a signal of disinterest like, I don't see this going anywhere?
Right, the ambiguity is killer.
It is. But what countless discussions across Mumsnet, Reddit, dating advice channels, what they consistently agree on is that clear, respectful communication, either just before or during the date, is the ultimate key to avoiding that awkwardness. A simple, polite line like, shall we split this? Or, hey, I'd love to treat you tonight since I asked you out. Or even, how about I get this one and maybe you can get the next, can preempt discomfort and set clear, respectful expectations.
Just saying it out loud.
Just saying it. The energy and sincerity behind the offer matter far more than the act itself. If both people leave the table feeling respected, feeling understood, if their preferences were considered, then the financial detail truly becomes secondary. It's about building mutual comfort and acknowledging modern norms, rather than strictly adhering to potentially outdated social contracts. It's a delicate dance, for sure, but one where honest communication leads.
Okay, so open communication is key. But what if one person offers to split and the other person takes it the wrong way? Like they interpret it as disinterest. How do you split the bill gracefully without accidentally killing the vibe or sending the wrong signal?
That's a very common anxiety, and you're right. For some, offering to split can be interpreted as a lack of romantic interest, while for others, it's just practical and fair. The elegance really lies in how it's presented and the underlying energy you bring to it. Phrases that come across as considerate, collaborative, empowering rather than stingy or transactional are crucial. So instead of a blunt, let's split it, maybe try something like, how about we split this just so it's easy and fair for both of us?
Mm.
Or, I'd love to contribute, what do you think? Or even a casual, let's just split it tonight, then there's no awkwardness either way. The goal is mutual comfort.
Framing it as ease and fairness.
Exactly. The intention and respect conveyed are paramount. If both daters leave feeling respected, understood, that their preferences were genuinely considered, then the money part fades. It's about showing maturity and flexibility, signaling you're comfortable navigating modern social norms with grace, rather than rigidly sticking to old scripts. And this, actually, is why low-cost dates are becoming so popular now.
Ah, the coffee dates and walks again.
Exactly. With rising costs of living, many singles are embracing creative, low-pressure, and often more memorable options. A scenic walk in a park, exploring a free local art exhibit, grabbing an ice cream. These types of dates just remove the financial burden entirely. They allow both people to focus on the conversation and the connection rather than the bill. They inherently show thoughtfulness and creativity from the planner. They minimize financial pressure, and they create a more authentic, less performative atmosphere where romance can still absolutely blossom. It's about the quality of the time, not the price tag.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But even with the best intentions, all the etiquette in the world, first dates can still have those utterly awkward moments. What if there's just zero chemistry? Or the conversation just stops dead and you're staring into the void? How do you handle those less than perfect scenarios with grace without making things even more uncomfortable?
That's such an important question because how we navigate discomfort without compounding it, that's often the real test of character. It's not about perfect
Well,
chemistry. It's about gracefully handling imperfections.
yeah.
So let's tackle that all too common scenario.
Yeah.
When the chemistry just isn't there, it's a universal truth, right? Not every date sparks fireworks, and that is perfectly universally okay. What many people online and offline stress is that it's infinitely better to be honest and kind than to drag things out, or worse, to ghost.
Please, no ghosting.
Right. A polite, straightforward approach, maybe a simple, hey, I really enjoyed meeting you, but I'm honestly not feeling a romantic connection, is almost always appreciated more than leaving someone hanging or just disappearing.
Honesty, even if it stings a bit.
Exactly. Kindness and honesty. And this is also where choosing that low-pressure venue really shines as a built-in exit strategy. Keeping the first meeting intentionally short, like that coffee or quick walk, provides a natural, graceful way to part ways without extended awkwardness if the vibe just isn't right. It respects both your time and theirs, allowing for a clean, kind break.
That's a truly valuable tip for managing expectations up front. But what about those dreaded awkward silences? You're talking, things are okay, and then suddenly, nothing. The conversation hits a wall and you feel that panic rising. How do you recover without freaking out?
Awkward silences are honestly one of the biggest fears people have about first dates, but they absolutely do not have to be deal breakers. Not at all. In fact, they can be subtle opportunities if you reframe how you view them. Instead of seeing silence as this glaring failure or a sign things are bombing, try viewing it as just a pause, an opportunity to reset, take a breath, and then gently steer the conversation in a new direction. It's part of the natural rhythm of any human conversation, not just dates. It happens.
Okay, so don't panic.
Don't panic. A practical technique is to have a little mental list, maybe just 3 or 4 safe, open-ended conversation topics you can gently pull out as a soft landing pad if needed. These aren't meant to be rigidly deployed like interview questions, but more like a comforting safety net. Think about things like, what's a destination that's really high on your travel wish list right now? Or, what's the funniest thing that happened to you this week? Or maybe, what's a small passion or hobby you have that might surprise people?
Backup questions.
Jiggle backup questions. They invite storytelling and often reignite the flow by tapping into personal interests. Humor also works wonders here. A light joke, maybe a self-aware comment about the silence itself, like, well, this is either profoundly deep or we both seriously need more coffee, can instantly ease tension. It shows your ability to laugh at yourself, which is incredibly endearing. And remember, nerves are completely natural. Admitting them sometimes, wow, I'm actually a little nervous, but I'm really enjoying our chat, can often make you seem more relatable, more human, more open.
That's a really helpful way to reframe it, a pause, an opportunity, not a complete disaster. Okay, and finally on this. What if things go beyond just awkwardness? What if a date makes you genuinely uncomfortable? Maybe by pushing boundaries in a way that feels inappropriate, too much physical closeness too soon, or pushing sensitive topics. How do you handle that in the moment with both grace and firmness?
This is critical. In today's dating world, the ability to respectfully and firmly assert your boundaries is absolutely non-negotiable. It's fundamental to personal safety and emotional well-being. If a date makes you uncomfortable in any way, whether it's unwelcome physical closeness, inappropriate comments, or persistently pushing sensitive topics after you've shown hesitation, it is not only acceptable, but inherently healthy to speak up.
You don't have to just endure it.
Absolutely not. And you don't need to be aggressive or accusatory or confrontational about it. Gentle but firm phrases are highly effective and show immense self-respect. Something like, I'd rather not talk about that just yet, or actually, I'm not comfortable with that topic right now, or even, I appreciate the gesture, but I'm not quite comfortable with that level of physical contact yet. These statements establish clarity without hostility. They clearly communicate your limits.
Clear and direct.
Clear and direct. And what's crucial to remember here, and what countless individuals on dating forums consistently agree upon, is that how someone reacts to your boundary says far more about them and their character than it does about you. Someone who respects your limits, even if they're a bit surprised, is demonstrating a key trait for any healthy relationship. Someone who pushes back, gets defensive, or tries to guilt trip you for asserting your needs, well, they're providing invaluable information about themselves that you should pay very close attention to.
That's a huge tell.
It's a huge tell. Respect builds trust, and trust is the absolute non-negotiable foundation of any future connection, romantic or otherwise. This is a moment where your authenticity and courage really shine, and it sets the tone for how you expect and deserve to be treated.
Okay, the date's over. Phew.
Yeah.
You've navigated the conversation, handled any awkwardness, maybe set a boundary, and now you're home. The immediate hard part feels done right. Not quite. What about the mysterious world of post-date communication, the follow-up? What's the etiquette here in an age where ghosting is still, sadly, way too common?
Yes, the aftermath. This is where the soft skills truly shine, and honestly, where many people still stumble. The follow-up is really less about strategic gamesmanship and much more about sincerity, clarity, and just genuine human courtesy. It truly sets the tone for whether a potential connection grows or just kind of fizzles out into the digital ether. Let's start with the immediate part, texting after the first date. The overwhelming consensus among dating experts and people actually dating is to send a short, simple thank you message within, say, 24 hours. Something light, genuine, and pressure-free like, thanks again for today, I had a really nice time, is usually more than sufficient.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. The key is to consciously avoid common pitfalls. Like, don't send drunk texts late at night. Don't overanalyze why they haven't responded back in 5 minutes. And try to keep your initial message light, without immediate demands or assumptions about a second date. It's simply about acknowledging the time spent together and expressing appreciation. This small, consistent act of courtesy signals maturity and respect for their time, and it goes a surprisingly long way in a world where, many people just disappear. This is also where those clear signs of a good first date come into play. If you had genuine laughter, engaged eye contact, relaxed body language, felt time fly, that thank you text is likely to be met with an enthusiastic reply, maybe even a hint about meeting again.
So a quick, polite thank you is the standard. But how do you tell if they actually want a second date? Or if you're just maybe reading too much into a polite thanks you to, what are the actual concrete signs they genuinely want to see you again? Because sometimes it feels like code breaking.
It can feel like emotional cryptography, can't it? But there are some common, usually quite reliable indicators. Enthusiastic replies to your thank you message are a good start. Look for quick responses, sure. But more importantly, look for content that goes beyond just basic politeness. If they echo your enjoyment, I had a great time too. Or even better, if they directly or indirectly suggest another meeting or hint at future plans, we should definitely check out that place we talked about sometime. That's usually a very clear green light.
So referencing something specific from the date.
Often, yes. For instance, if you text, I had a great time today, and they respond, me too. I was actually thinking about that new gallery we talked about. Would maybe want to check it out this weekend.
Yeah.
Well, that's about as clear an invitation as you can get.
Okay, that's pretty direct.
Right. And if the interest feels mutual and you also want a second date, That's precisely the moment to casually propose something concrete yourself. Something like, I'd love to. Would you like to check out that new gallery this weekend? Or, I really enjoyed our conversation about a specific topic. Perhaps we could continue it over coffee dinner next week. The sincerity and specificity of your proposal matter far more than trying to perfect the exact phrasing. If you genuinely enjoyed yourself, say so and propose something specific. That directness, rooted in authentic interest, is actually highly valued and cuts through a lot of the noise and uncertainty. Sincerity over perfection always.
Right, be real about it. Okay, and on the flip side, what if the interest isn't mutual? How do you handle rejection, whether you're giving it or receiving it, with confidence, grace, and empathy? Because that's a painful but unavoidable part of dating that nobody really enjoys.
It's true. Rejection is universal and often painful in dating. And not every first date will lead to a second. That's just part of the process, part of the human journey of connection. The truly important thing is to handle it with grace, whether you're the one delivering the difficult news or the one receiving it. If you receive a polite no, rather than immediately internalizing it as a personal failure or some deep flaw in yourself, try to reframe it. View it as redirection. It just means this particular connection wasn't the right fit for them at this moment, or maybe not the right fit for you either, ultimately. And it frees you up for connections that are...
Rejection as redirection. I like that framing.
It helps. A polite acknowledgement from your end, something simple like, okay, I understand, thanks for letting me know, respects their honesty and leaves things on a positive, mature note. It shows your own maturity. Ideally, no drama. And similarly, if you're the one not feeling a connection, providing that kind but clear message is crucial, as we talked about earlier. A polite but clear statement like, I enjoyed meeting you, but I don't feel we're a romantic match, or it was nice to meet you, but I don't think this is the right connection for me moving forward, respects both your time and theirs. So many singles openly share that how someone handles a no, whether giving or receiving it, often leaves a far more lasting impression than the date itself ever did. It's a powerful demonstration of emotional maturity, empathy, and respect. All highly valued traits, regardless of whether a romantic connection forms. This approach just fosters a healthier dating ecosystem for everyone involved, reducing the pain of ghosting and encouraging more honest communication overall.
Okay, so bringing this all together, what does it all mean? Beyond the specific do's and don'ts, the tips and tricks, the conversational tactics, what's the core essence? What truly leads to a meaningful connection on a first date in this really complex modern landscape we're navigating?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If we zoom out and connect all these threads to the bigger picture, it becomes pretty clear. While the mechanics of dating have dramatically evolved, apps, new social norms, faster pace, some fundamental human qualities simply never go out of style. It's really about cultivating an internal approach, a mindset, that transcends any specific rule or technique. First, there's confidence through authenticity. In a world that often rewards performance and curated perfection, trying to play a role or be someone you're not rarely works in the long run, especially in dating. The most successful dates, the ones that feel real and genuinely open the door to something more, happen when both people show up as their genuine, imperfect selves.
Letting the real you show up.
Exactly. Confidence isn't about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being comfortable and secure with who you are, flaws and all. That self-acceptance radiates outward and truly resonates with another person. It creates a space for true connection.
Okay, authenticity. What else?
Second, it's absolutely crucial to adopt a fundamental mindset shift. See the date as an opportunity, not a test. So many singles, understandably burdened by the pressure of finding the one or avoiding loneliness, view first dates as these high-stakes, make-or-break auditions for a potential life partner.
Yeah, the pressure is immense sometimes.
It is. And it only serves to pile on immense, paralyzing pressure. It makes people rigid, anxious, unable to relax and simply be themselves. Reframing the date as merely a chance to connect with and learn about someone new without a predetermined outcome or a pass-fail grade can completely transform the experience. Your focus shifts from impressing them or passing some invisible compatibility test to genuinely connecting with another unique human being and just enjoying the shared experience of that moment.
Less pressure, more presence.
Exactly. This approach is not only less stressful, but paradoxically, it often makes you more appealing because you're more relaxed and present. And finally, perhaps most importantly, it's about internalizing why kindness, curiosity, and respect never go out of style. These three qualities remain timeless, universal truths, regardless of what dating apps are trending, what social media dictates, or what the rules of the moment might seem to be. Kindness makes the other person feel safe, seen, comfortable in your presence. It's the warmth that allows a connection to even begin to thaw. Curiosity shows that you genuinely value them as a person, that you're interested in their thoughts, their experiences, their inner world, not just pushing your own agenda. It's the fuel for real conversation.
The engine of connection.
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
And respect woven into every single interaction, from your punctuality to how you handle disagreements or potential rejection, sets the foundational tone for any potential relationship, romantic or otherwise. These aren't just superficial etiquette rules. They are the core human values that facilitate truly meaningful interaction, not just for dates, but for all of life.
We started this deep dive asking why dating in 2025 feels so different and why first date etiquette even matters anymore. And it turns out it's not really about memorizing some rigid checklist, is it? It's about something far more fundamental, far more human.
Exactly. That's the big payoff here, I think. Recognizing that while the mechanics of dating have undeniably evolved, the apps, the speed, the norms, the essence remains deeply rooted in genuine human interaction. It's less about putting on a perfect performance designed to impress, and much more about fostering a real, imperfect, authentic connection.
Yeah. It's about understanding that a first date isn't really an audition for your life partner. It's more like a brief, maybe intimate conversation where you courageously offer a glimpse of your true self and generously invite someone else to do the same. It's like a shared vulnerability, a mutual exploration.
Perfectly said. It's about showing up with a spirit of openness, genuine curiosity, and fundamental kindness. Recognizing that the goal isn't just to impress, but to simply discover if there's a shared space or resonance, maybe just a spark, where a meaningful story could genuinely begin.
So what's our ultimate takeaway from this deep dive into modern first date etiquette? I think it's this. It's less about those rigid rules and more about cultivating shared respect, genuine presence, and authentic curiosity. The little details from being on time to how you engage in conversation and how you handle departures, they truly make a difference, but always through the lens of fostering that authentic connection. A first date doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real. The goal isn't impressing someone with some flawless facade. It's building the kind of honest, open connection that makes both of you genuinely want to see each other again. Not because you followed a script, but because you were truly yourselves.
And this maybe raises an important question for you, our listener, to ponder. In a world constantly seeking the one, perhaps the greatest etiquette, the most profound act of connection we can offer is simply to treat every first date as an opportunity to genuinely engage with another human being, with all their complexities, their hopes, their vulnerabilities. Treating it not just as a means to an end, but as an end in itself. What might change for you and perhaps for the world around you if you approached every new encounter with that open, curious, and deeply human mindset?
If this deep dive gave you value, if it sparked a new thought or offered maybe a different perspective, please share it with someone you care about. Hit subscribe wherever you're listening and leave a review if you feel moved too. Your support really helps us keep diving deep into the topics that matter most to you.